Thanks for tuning in to Retiring Well. We've got a great show lined up talking about required minimum distributions and what different roles those play in your retirement plan. What about the sunken cost trap? What is that? That's going to be really valuable to be paying attention to. And rental income. How does that play a role leading up to retirement or maybe in your retirement plan? And lastly, Medicare and Medigap plans. Health insurance is such an important topic these days. You want to stay tuned here to Retiring Well.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well, plan to retire well.
Let's talk about required minimum distributions, RMDs for short. Basically, what is this? Well, currently at the age of 72, if you haven't already done so, you're required to start taking some money out of those pre-tax accounts. 401ks, 403bs, IRAs, those tax deferral accounts. Well, why is that? Think of it very simply. You've been deferring taxes on those for potentially 30, 40, 50 years. Whenever you started putting money into these, and Uncle Sam wants some of his piece, right? You haven't paid tax on this yet. So this is an opportunity for the IRS to start forcing distributions effectively so they can start to get some of their money back, right? So in the early years, it used to be 70 and a half is when this rule. Well, the Secure Act that was passed in December of 19 pushed that age to 72. So it gave you a little bit of a break. So basically though, if you turned 70 and a half prior to December 19, you would still have to take required minimum distributions based on that 70 and a half situation. If you turned 70 and a half after that, you don't have to wait till 72 now. So a little bit of a bonus there for you if you fall into that group. Or if you're younger, obviously now it's 72. It's the equivalent to about 3.7% when you start taking those distributions of what that is. Now, every year you age, that divisor ticks up just a little bit. So the older you get, the bigger percentage you're going to have to be taking out. So if your IRA or pre-tax accounts are at least maintaining themselves, that required minimum distribution is going to get a little bigger and a little bigger along the line. So what can you do with this required minimum distribution? One, you can't put it in a Roth IRA. So if you want to do Roth IRA conversions, you have to take more than the required minimum distribution, and then you can consider doing that above and beyond that. You can gift it to charities through qualified charitable distributions. That's a neat way to avoid paying income tax on this if you don't need the funds, or if you're tithing or gifting anyway. It's a great way to be doing that. Even if you're not itemized, you're able to get that deduction. You can invest your required minimum distributions or reinvest them back into non-qualified accounts. So they can't go into an IRA or Roth IRA, but they can go into just traditional after-tax investment accounts where you have a cost basis and then you would pay taxes on any capital gains or dividends or interest or such like that. So you do have options to reinvest if you truly don't need the money. Oftentimes, it's a great way to gift to children or grandchildren as well. Maybe fund a college education plan for your grandchildren. There's different things you can do with this money. The biggest thing that I can give advice on in this situation is not one specific one thing, but plan ahead. For required minimum distributions, this isn't something that you can just start doing at 72. This is something you need to be considering well in advance. We're helping folks here at Centennial Wealth Advisories, oftentimes in their 50s, plan for those required minimum distributions down the road, whether that's through Roth conversions earlier or just making sure the income flows and meets their needs. Hopefully you found this helpful, and don't let required minimum distributions sneak up on you.
Hey, welcome back. Hopefully you found that little segment on RMDs helpful, because the more you understand about how RMDs work, the better educated you can be on how you want to position your portfolio to prepare for such. I just recently had a client come in from in the Cadillac office, a married couple, and so had been saving and working, for the last 45 years. And so we started talking about the tax component to their plan. And one of the areas that came up was their RMDs. So we were able to project a pretty reasonable rate of return in their IRAs to say, hey, this is what your projected RMD is going to be at 72. What's your plan for that? and so we're able to first educate and then start those discussions on what are we going to do in preparation for. As soon as RMDs hit, now we have what's called sequence of return risk. I mean, are you retiring like it's 1999 and you're going to get the markets of 2000, 2001, 2002? Well, if you're retired and those are your RMD years, that could be a problem. So, how do we prepare for that, and how do we position you accordingly to help minimize those sequence of return risk?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing there is plan, right? We got to plan. Over in the Gaylord office, I mean, we have couples come in all the time that really aren't aware of RMDs because they're not looking at it 10, 15 years down the road when they actually retire. Perfect example of this, I had a client come in that was age 59 and a half, and they were able to retire at that point. Well, we did projections and we showed them what their RMD was going to be some 13 years later, and they were shocked that they would be forced to take that money out. Well, because we learned so early what their RMD would be, we are able to plan for that. We're able to say, okay, if over the next 10 years we do Roth conversions where we take money from the IRA and convert it to a Roth, we can minimize their RMDs by doing that. So it's just so important to plan. Plan for those future things coming up in retirement, such as RMDs. So hopefully you found that valuable there. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about the sunken cost trap and then rental income. You don't want to miss it.
What can Retirement Analyzer do for you? Retirement Analyzer is a software tool that can help you prepare today for your financial future. You've worked hard to save for your retirement, but as you near your retirement, you may have concerns. Have I positioned my retirement savings wisely? Have I saved enough for retirement, and will my savings last throughout my lifetime? What impact could inflation have on my future expenses? What if I suffer a long-term illness? Will I have enough money to cover my medical care expenses and still be able to meet my other financial obligations? Could changes in the income tax rates disrupt my retirement strategy? There's no need to be in the dark as you prepare for your retirement. Retirement Analyzer can help you find answers to all these questions and more. The first step is providing us with information on your financial assets, the type and current value of those assets, as well as your sources of income. Then, we work with you to identify your expected expenses in retirement. This will include a discussion of the lifestyle you envision in retirement, travel, a summer residence, whatever you dream your retirement will be. We'll input the information you provide us into the Retirement Analyzer, and in a very short time we'll have reports that show us the percentage of assets currently in high-risk vehicles as well as the percent in lower-risk products. Retirement Analyzer enables us to project your income from year to year in your retirement and see how long your retirement savings may last. As we change the conditions of the report, delaying your retirement date, including costs for long-term care, adjusting the expected tax rate, or adjusting your retirement strategies, we can see how changes in these variables may impact your income in retirement and the longevity of your retirement savings. Let the Retirement Analyzer help you test drive your retirement strategy today, because the time to discover the bumps in the road is not once your trip through retirement has begun. Contact our office today to schedule an appointment for your Retirement Analyzer review.
Your grandchildren are precious to you. They are your life. This is your time to have that special relationship. Taking care of yourself is taking care of them. Centennial Wealth Advisory is offering a free, no-obligation retirement review to make sure you don't run out of money during your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come.
Let's take a minute and talk about the sunken cost trap. What do we mean by that? Let me paint a little picture for you. Probably we've all had this situation maybe in our youth where we've owned a car that that wasn't too great, that we needed to continue to repair or have our buddies help us out and put money into. And in our minds, we're tallying up that bill, right? And I've put new tires on it, I've put new brakes, I've had to put a new transmission in, whatever it is, and that amount is growing in your head and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I can never get rid of this thing now. I got so much money into it, I gotta drive it for a certain amount of time. Well, you have to ask yourself and stop for a second. Is this car meeting my needs right now, and is the best thing to meet my needs going forward? Yes, you may have a certain amount of money into it. Yes, you may have spent a lifetime of love and hate with this thing, but at some point you have to ask yourself the real question, is it best for what I'm trying to accomplish right now? Now take that same thought process and let's move it to investments. Oftentimes we find people coming into us and they've had a certain investment. Maybe it's a stock they've owned for some time or a mutual fund somebody recommended to us that they're not super happy with, but they feel committed to it, or I've had it for a certain amount of time, or oh goodness, it's down X% now, and they feel like they gotta stay with it. Well, they're not asking themselves, well, is it accomplishing my goals? Is it best set to accomplish my goals? Is it producing income maybe if I want it to, and I'm in retirement? So continually be looking at that sort of stuff. Folks, as time goes along, oftentimes your general makeup or what you want or your desires and goals are going to change, and therefore you need to change your investment philosophies along with that as well. Or maybe it's even thinking sometimes when you're younger, you may be in more of a growth and accumulation mode, and it's just something, oh, this is what it is, I'm committed to it, I've been with it for 40 years, why would I change now? Well, likely during that same time you were working and contributing, maybe now you're not. Maybe you're trying to take some income and preserve that. So once again, don't find yourself getting stuck for the wrong reasons. Make sure you're evaluating your options, continually keeping an eye for your goals, and what is the purpose of your investments? What do you want them to be doing? Because oftentimes each investment out there is specifically designed to do certain things, and if those don't match up with your needs, wants, and wishes, it could be a recipe for disaster. And just because you have that old clunker you've poured lots of money into doesn't mean you have to stay with that forever. There's other options out there, and make sure it matches up well with your overall holistic plan.
At Centennial Wealth Advisory, we take a holistic approach to your retirement planning. So it's not just looking at what your investments are, but what is that long-term income plan for the next 30, 40 years of your retirement? What about taxes and what role they play in your retirement plan? Estate planning, what about life insurance, health insurance planning, all key areas to consider when looking at your retirement. So please visit our website or call the number on the screen. We'd love the opportunity to sit down with you for a no-cost, no-obligation visit.
In today's day and age, with a longer lifespan, you're more likely to encounter both good and bad market performance. For that reason, when planning for retirement, it's increasingly important to seek guidance from a financial advisor who can help you structure an income strategy that reflects your financial situation, risk tolerance, and investment objectives. You don't want just any advice, but objective financial advice. With so much at stake, it's important that you feel you can trust a financial advisor to consider a wide variety of possible solutions, including both investment and insurance products. Here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, we're not beholden to any certain investment tools or vehicles. We're independent. We can offer a wide variety of investment tools that meet your needs. So please, if you have any questions or you want to schedule an initial consultation, don't hesitate to give us a call at the number on the screen. We're happy to help in any way that we can.
rental income. This can be a valuable piece of your overall plan leading up to retirement and then also through retirement. So I know for me personally, growing up here in Traverse City, my parents owned an apartment complex near downtown Traverse City for 35 plus years, and so I was involved in that, and now my wife and I have been investing in different rental properties over the years, so something that definitely I see a great deal of value in doing. So the key thing here with rentals is you need to know your numbers. So let's look at figuring out, okay, what's your estimated rent? What are going to be those costs that you have? Taxes, insurance, utilities, whether you're paying those or the renter is paying those. And ultimately find out what is your net benefit. So that's where you're going to be looking at the actual revenue that you received after all of your expenses. So the other piece of this is looking at the value of the property. So to come up with a calculation, you're going to want to divide the net benefit that we talked about earlier by the value of the property to determine your return on investment. So let's say, for example, you have $12,000 a year of net benefit from the rental property, and it's a $200,000 property. So you're looking at a 6% return on your investment. So now you can compare that to, other investment options to determine if you think that's a good investment or not. You also want to factor in the appreciation of your property. So maybe let's just, for simplicity, say it's going up 1%, 2%. This past year, I'm sure if you had any type of real estate, you saw it go up significantly higher than that. But that's another piece that you want to factor into your rental investment. And then for tax purposes, one of the advantages that you have with rentals is then you can depreciate the asset over time. So a lot of times you might find that you're able to offset the rental income by that depreciation, but then on the disadvantage side of that is then you've depreciated it over time. So by the time that you go to sell that property, you might find, okay, now there's going to be a significant gain, which you'll have capital gains tax to pay on that. So another idea is maybe you hold on to that property for the remainder of your lifetime and then pass it on to family, and then at that point there's a step up in basis. So the other piece that a lot of times people don't think about is the inflationary factor with rentals. So as you experience your costs going up, then you can also adjust the rent to help offset that. And so again, rental properties may be a good income source for you, but one that you really want to know your numbers.
Hey, welcome back. I hope that little episode on the sunken cost trap was able to educate you on something that you might even potentially have. I recently had a client come into the Cadillac office, and what I love about our holistic approach to planning is we look at the whole picture and we make sure that the purpose behind each of the positions is in good order. And if we find that it's not in good order, then we educate on what those options are. I had this client, they had this investment they've had for years, and they have poured a lot of money in just through the fees that cost. And the purpose of what that investment was no longer serving it. Life had changed. Their situation had changed. And so what we were able to do is try to separate us from that sunken cost trap to say, listen, that's not really what you're trying to, achieve, and here are your options. And they really appreciated that they could get that education on what the options are to the sunken cost trap. I also, on an analogy here, I had a Jeep Wrangler, and I learned really quickly that Jeep actually stands for just empty each pocket.
Yes,
so,
I can certainly relate to that as well, because I had a 97 Wrangler too. Actually owned it since freshman year in college, and so 10, 15 years, and I just could not get rid of it. I mean, I was putting a lot of money into that. I mean, you probably all know that Jeeps are famous for rust, okay? So I had rust everywhere on that thing, including the frame. So it got to the point where it wasn't very safe to be driving, but I still couldn't give it up because I had put so much money into this thing. Eventually, I mean, I've got 4 kids at home. all 6 of us cannot fit in that Jeep, okay? So as much fun as I thought I could have with it, it just didn't make sense for us anymore. I was able to let go of it last year, and guess what? We use that money and we're gonna buy something else that the entire family can enjoy. It was tough to do that, but eventually it just makes sense to get out of that sunken cost trap. So stay tuned. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about Medicare and Medigap.
You can have a portfolio or you can have a plan. You can play it safely or you can safely plan. You can guess when to take Social Security or you can make your decision based on detailed analysis. You can hope your savings will last your entire retirement, or you can take action and know. You can let life happen to you, or you can take control. You can go it alone, or you can have an experienced guide ready to walk with you every step of the way. We are Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial planners serving all of Northern Michigan, offices in Gaylord, Petoskey, Traverse City, and Cadillac. Simply call the number on your screen for a complimentary initial consultation and let us help you plan to retire well.
All right, let's talk about Medicare, Medigap planning. So leading up to age 65, I think health insurance providers pretty much have a tracking device on you. They know exactly where you are as you're going to be inundated with mail and phone calls and pop-ups probably on your phone or on your computer. They know that you're getting to that age where now it's time to make some decisions. So with Medicare, you essentially have Part A, which is going to be your hospitalization coverage, and then you have Part B, which is going to be your outpatient coverage. So Medicare covers about 80% of your costs, but there's going to be gaps within your coverage. So to cover those gaps of approximately 20%, that's where you get into looking at different supplemental plans. So the goal is to come alongside, say, Part A and B to try and have 100% coverage for health insurance. So there's 2 different routes that you can go here. So first is this Medigap route, which is essentially going to be government regulated, and the coverage is going to be the same with every company that you look at. So you'll have to get a separate Part D plan or prescription drug plan. Also, you're going to have separate eye and dental insurance that you're going to have to look into. So things to be looking at when it comes to this Medigap route. And with all that said, even though we're talking about government regulated plans, the pricing is different for each insurance carrier. So you'll want to review this periodically, similar to, say, your home and auto insurance. So here at our office, we have different licensed individuals that can help sit down with you and evaluate your health insurance plan to determine if you're paying a good rate or if there's maybe room for improvement there. Another route you can go is an advantage plan. So this is another type of supplemental insurance. It's going to, though, include your prescription, your eye, your dental plans, but this side is not regulated. So the plans don't have to be the same like they would in the Medigap route. It's going to be a lot of different companies and different plans that you'll have to research here. So you'll want to evaluate the costs and what coverage they offer. So again, there's going to be two different ways that you can go, and essentially you have to determine what's best for you. So if you're maybe travel a lot, whether that's domestically or internationally, that may play a factor when you're evaluating these two different routes. So again, if you have questions, we have a team of licensed individuals here that are more than happy to sit down with you, talk through those different areas that you're looking at for your health insurance coverage throughout retirement, and make sure that you find a good fit for what you want to see happen.
Hey, welcome back. Hopefully you found that valuable, where you got to learn about Medicare and Medigap and all the different things that go into it. You know, I was curious, I wonder if the people that deliver the mail, I bet they know that you turned 64 just because the amount that your mailbox blows up. And so, you know, I find a lot of our clients are actually surprised that we actually offer these kind of solutions to learning when it comes to signing up for Medicare, signing up for the Medigap or Medicare Advantage plans. Like, you know, we have people on staff that are licensed for that, and you know, when I explain to them that, hey, yeah, we can help you with that. We can lead by learning and teaching you what you have in place, what your options are. We can run quotes right there in the meeting. I think they love that transparency, and they love to learn that they have somebody in their corner taking that holistic approach, and it's not just investments. It is, you know, the health insurance piece to their planning.
Yeah, I mean, with Medicare, there is so much to learn. There's so many different components to it. You really need somebody that's going to help you out, okay? Like Jack was saying, you're going to get bombarded when you turn 65 with all these different mailers, and it's going to be tough to sift through what makes the most sense for your situation. Here at Centennial Wealth, we're independent, so we have access to all these different companies. So what we can do is we can sit down and go over, hey, does this Advantage plan work for you? Or maybe it's not an Advantage plan. Maybe it's a supplement plan with a Part D or prescription medication plan on top of it that'll work best for you. With all these different companies, it all boils down to price, okay? Because it's all government mandated, so if you have a Plan G with Aetna or a Plan G with ARP, the only difference, not service, is price. Same thing with Advantage plans. There's so many different variables, whether it be co-pays, co-insurances, deductibles, but really what it boils down to is us getting a clear picture of what you want and then tailoring that plan for you, okay? So please don't hesitate to reach out to us with any questions, concerns. We're here to help. We'll do that free initial consultation. We'll go through our quoting tools and show you exactly what the cost would be to make sure your health needs are covered. Also, don't forget, you don't have to wait for us until next week. You can go onto YouTube, type in Retiring Well, and find all the episodes that we've done for the last 10, 11 years right on there. So, but still, tune in next week, and we're going to be on the same station, same time. Thanks so much.